Let the children come to me and do not stop them, because the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as this. Following this commandment of Jesus, the Bible Society of Armenia engaged the Orphanages in Children's Ministry project. The project goal is to bring children closer to Jesus and to connect them to the world of God through art. The orphans learn biblical stories and try to transform these stories into performance of puppets made by them. To adopt a new approach in working with children, the Bible Society of Armenia involved psychologists, art therapists Serpoi Movsisyan and Susanne Sarkisyan, who professionally worked with children of different ages and different orphanages, perfectly combining the Bible with puppet therapy. This spiritual therapeutic work was highly appreciated and loved by children. It gave them the opportunity for creative work, for self-discovery, self-expression, and self-correction. It also helped them to highlight their participation in teamwork, to be in equal conditions with teammates and get rid of complexes. In 2018, the Thumbs Theatre toured 7 orphanages in Armenia. Izmirlan Orphanage, Children's Support Center Fund for Armenian Relief, Zatik Orphanage, Norharbert Orphanage, orphanages in Gavar, Vanadzor, and Gyumri towns. We worked with each orphanage for a month, 1 visit per week. During the first visit, we talked about the purpose of our visit and introduced 8 biblical stories for children, collection of 8 booklets. Jesus Healed, Be Happy With Me, The 2 House Builders, Jesus Give Lessons of Fishing, The High Tower, The Good Stranger, The Chief Tax Collector, Help Me to Understand. After the introduction, biblical stories booklets were distributed to all children. Each child got 1 copy of this set. Hearing the stories, the children started to discuss them. Then they were divided into 2 groups, and each group chose one of the 8 stories closer to their heart. This was followed by choosing their roles. On our next 2 visits, the group started to make puppets of chosen characters, coloring the face and clothes of puppets and trying to perform on their fingers. During puppet making, the children were impressed by their personages and started to play their roles very lively, expressing their spiritual perceptions about their favorite story, as well as their feelings and emotions. During the 4th and last visit, the children brought together the puppets on the tables and delivered the performance for their friends, nurses, and teachers in the orphanage. Working with different orphanages and children of different ages and health conditions, it was noticeable the reformation of the spiritual value system, which began to develop especially during the preparation of puppets for the lead roles. For example, making the puppets of Jesus, the apostles, the Good Samaritan helped them to discover the powerful spiritual resources within them, the belief in God which strengthened through the Bible dramas. This helped them to rely on God, to accept Him as our Father, to live with His Word, to overcome fears, to be self-reliant, to believe in their dreams, and most importantly, to love each other and to love everything. The year-long period was full of many interesting and touching moments, just 2 examples of them. When we first visited Izmirlan orphanage, taking care of disabled children and introduced the 8 biblical stories to them, all the groups chose only one story, Jesus Healed, the story about Jesus healing the paralyzed man. And none of the children chose the role of the paralyzed man. Galina wanted to be Jesus. She said, Jesus worked a miracle. He healed. Me also, I want to do it as he did. She was too excited to continue speaking. Suddenly one of the girls said that she also was eager to play the role of Jesus. But Satanik warned her, saying, "How can that be? The role of Jesus is already chosen. It is not possible to have 2 Jesus. God is one and the only one." All the other participants preferred the roles of friends of the paralyzed man who brought him to Jesus, or the roles of people who were around Jesus in Capernaum, but again not the role of the paralyzed. The next story was related to Gavar's orphanage. Again, during our first visit there, we introduced the 8 biblical stories. When the discussion followed, one of the girls, Armina, refused to choose a role and make a puppet. We didn't insist, yet she didn't leave the room. She kept looking at children making puppets walk around them, but staying away from taking part. We understood that she had an inner trouble, strong resistance, 2 powers struggling with each other within her. But we were waiting, and we weren't wrong. The last day, on our 4th visit, the barrier was gone. When all the children finished the puppet making and were getting ready to perform the biblical stories, she came to us and asked to make a puppet, the personage of the story, Be Happy With Me. The Mission for Children Project 2018 in Orphanages was concluded with the year-end event dedicated to the Christmas story. The Christmas performance was staged by the children of the Shock Day Care Center at Norharberg Orphanage and Arapgir Children's Center.